Thank you so much, Dane. We really appreciate the support of PGE, both for our organization over the years, but also, we're thrilled to count Teresa and Melissa as part of our team at SEDCOR, part of our economic development team. So always very supportive and helpful, and also just great to work with. So thank you for your continued engagement. I'm Erik Andersson. I'm the president of SEDCOR, and just wanted to go through a quick year in review of the things that we've been doing this year. So the words that we use is we leverage public and private partnerships to successfully grow, retain, and attract jobs and capital investment. But over the last couple of years, I think we've tended to use a new phrase for that. In other words, SEDCOR, we know a guy or we know a gal. Really, that's our role in how we operate here, is to try to recognize what the opportunities are for businesses in the area, what the issues are for businesses, and how we connect them with people that can help them. And I may be using outdated technology here as a reference, but we all have pretty significant Rolodexes, whether they're online in our phones or the old-fashioned ones that are rolling on our desks. Daryl went into, can you go back a little? Thank you. Daryl kind of went into what we do. The business retention expansions, most of what we do here at SEDCOR, recruitment, entrepreneurship, and community development type work. Really, the community development work is, a lot of that's tied to education and really counting schools, connecting schools with our employers to really help build a workforce for the future in the community. We also spend some time with strategic planning and economic development planning for communities, and even get into convening to help downtowns strategize and understand what the tools are out there. And of course, other duties as required. But before I go into kind of the specifics here of what we've been doing the last year, I would be remiss if I did not take time to introduce and thank our SEDCOR team, who, without exception this year, showed their knowledge, passion, expertise, and just interest in innovation in the work that we do and the work that they do every day. Without their kind of positive attitudes and willingness to try some new things and adapt to a pretty changing world in this past year, we wouldn't be able to be reporting what we're doing. So I'm very thankful to have that crew with us. Nick Harville is our Marion County lead. Jenny Kistler is our Director of Operations. Michael Miller, our communications and marketing guy, that has really done a great job with our social media this year in getting our message out and your messages out as businesses in the community. Alex Parascavez, our Polk County lead, and also our Ag Innovation Hub manager, and Abhishek Stone from our Yamhill County person, who has taken the lead in doing economic development work in Yamhill County and throughout the region. We do really operate as a team, and I'm always pleased to see how well people lean on each other for advice and counsel, and really to our members know that we have a great group of people in doing this work. Next slide, Michael, please. So I mentioned other duties as required. This year really started with a lot of work around COVID response as this came up. We took an early leadership role, working with disseminating information on the federal and state resources that were being very quickly cobbled together and released to help businesses. Our core group, Coordinated Organizations for Recovery Efforts, was with the Mid-Willamette Valley Council of Governments, Willamette Workforce Partnership, Chemeketa Small Business Development Center, and our Regional Solutions and Business Oregon partners from the state. As part of this work, we also developed a personal protection equipment database highlighting businesses who invested in retooling to provide these resources that were needed. And we promoted that manufacturing here in the region with not just a business forum, but we're continuing to work with a growing industry cluster to help these businesses and going into the new year. And finally, we work to encourage and develop a regional approach to the business relief resources that were being released, both with the Oregon Community Foundation and Business Oregon funds. This regional program ended up being administered largely through the Mid-Willamette or the Willamette Workforce Partnership, and attracted over $2.5 million in business relief services, and was really pleased to see Abisha investing her work in the Yamhill County program, and then using that to kind of help base Marion County and some of our regional work on that. So nicely done on that. Then also wildlife recovery, with Nick really taking the lead on a lot of this as far as Santiam Canyon issues. The whole team's been working on, with various state and county agencies on wildfire recovery efforts, working with businesses, communities, and also infrastructure development. This is a very long-term process, as I'm sure you're all aware. We've also been participating in various regional initiatives from FEMA and from the governor's office. Nick's done a great job coordinating the Santiam Rebuild Coalition. Just started with about a dozen companies, and within a few weeks and even a few days, was growing immensely, and now has well over 130 businesses attached to that. We were out there pretty early on with a community meeting, working with DEQ to help provide information on their cleanup. We had 93 people in attendance at the State and High School football field. And at that meeting, our board member and executive council member and former leader, Rich Duncan, and Rich Duncan Construction announced project that they're working on to rebuild the City Hall Public Safety and a Community Center for the Canyon in Detroit. And literally at that meeting, over 50 businesses took a pen and put their names and what they could donate and what they could do, and right there on the spot. It was a very, very inspirational moment to see people coming together like that. Did you skip a page, Michael? Or there we go. Thank you. As far as our retention and expansion efforts go this year, Chang2, a company here in Salem, a Korean foods manufacturer, announced a $17 million expansion. And we've been working with them to identify sources of food and sources of meat and vegetables to be able to use in their products as they finish their facility up this year. Discount Nursery Products here in Salem has chosen a site in the Salem Business Campus for their facility. They're going to be putting in injection molding equipment and actually onshoring the pots that they and containers that they produce for the nursery industry here. So it's a nice supply chain business for us. Alex took the lead in our application for the Northwest Ag Innovation Hub to the U.S. Economic Development Administration. We were approved over the summer for a nearly $470,000 grant over the next 2 years. And this will allow us to expand the work that begun in Polk County and City of Independence, and working with SEDCOR, we can expand that to the entire 3-county region. So that's going to be continues to be an exciting opportunity for us. One great way that kind of shows the I know a guy or I know a gal spirit of SEDCOR is Yamasa USA was looking for opportunities to both cut down their carbon footprint as well as bring in some local content into their product. And they connected with SEDCOR, and Abisha reached out to Rudenclaw Farms in Amity to see if this could be a possibility. And kind of long story short, the Rudenclaws have a contract, and they're will be growing 100 acres of red wheat, for Yamasa going into 2021. And hot off the presses, Abisha took the lead in a project with Business Oregon funding a high impact opportunity project. It's called the HIOP program. This will be used to create, test, and launch an open source enterprise resource planning project with Buildable Works LLC of McMinnville in the lead. We're also working with our partners at McMinnville Economic Development Partnership and Oregon Manufacturing Extension Partnership on that project going into 2021. As far as the recruitment side, while it did get kind of quiet in the beginning of the year, as the year started to come to a close, we've had quite a bit of activity around recruitment, both just getting the information out and the requests for proposals that we get from our partners at the state and other sources, but also just watching some of these projects come to fruition. Last year around this time, we were meeting pretty regularly with a company called, with a project called Project Norway. And, shortly after these meetings, it was announced that the project that ended up being Project Norway was actually the acquisition of Norpac Foods by Lineage Logistics. And Lineage has also gone on to purchase Henningsen Cold Storage as well. And that Norpac project has kept all of us busy in various ways, particularly Nick, and we'll get to that a little bit later. We were pleased to be part of a groundbreaking for Pacific Northwest Properties, building a 70,000 square foot spec space here in Salem. We're looking forward to seeing Oregon meadow foam growers continue their project. It's a cooperative of 40 growers here in the area, but they've always refined their oil that they make out of meadow foam out in California. And this project will be bringing that refining operation here to Salem at Mill Creek. We've also had to kind of try some different things this year in working with the Oregon Economic Development Association. Rather than hopping on a train or a plane and going up to Vancouver, BC, we participated in what was probably the first of a few virtual prospect missions where a team of us, including Teresa Haskins at PGE, met with entrepreneurs and businesses in the Vancouver, BC area who were interested in long-term presence in Oregon. And then finally, we've talked about this the last couple of years. We're still working pretty much on a weekly basis, connecting with Mint Valley Paper. They're famous last words, but they're nearing the finish line as far as securing funding for their Dallas plant. And we are, their financing folks did not seem to take seriously when I said that we really needed to have an answer for our annual meeting, but we just keep hoping by the end of the year that will be in place. As far as entrepreneurial efforts go, our venture catalyst, Mike White, worked with over 100 entrepreneurs and small businesses, providing technical assistance and also putting on events and boot camps and networking events. One of the great things that he accomplished this year was developing the Mid-Valley Seed Fund. It's our first kind of seed fund for entrepreneurial pursuits. And he raised $50,000, doubling his goal. And we had, I think, 15 businesses take an interest in applying for those funds. And as you can see on here, the three that were able to take advantage of this were hot sauce, a local hot sauce company here in Salem, Siliprin, a silicone 3D printing business, and Little Sue's, a kids Little Seuss, a kids culinary education program that's working out of here, which I think just as an aside, their timing for what they offer, which is helping kids learn about food and nutrition and how to cook, and doing this at home with parents and siblings, has become a godsend for a lot of parents in the last several months. And finally, as we mentioned before, we were able to attract funding from the U.S. Economic Development Administration for the Northwest Ag Innovation Hub. That we actually included in that was funding for our venture catalyst to match our Murdoch Foundation grant. So we're able to keep Mike here in the region through 2022. Michael, can you go to the next? Thank you. Just to kind of go through some of the highlights of our county work. Nick is our Marion County Business Retention Expansion Manager. He worked with the county on getting the first 2 rural industrial improvement exemptions approved in the state of Oregon, one for Marion Agriculture Service and one for Pacific Northwest VegCo, which is ended up with Norpac facilities. And speaking of NORPAC, this time last year, we were starting to pull together some of the growers to help facilitate networking and information sharing. And Nick's growers group really helped us identify what some of those issues and concerns were of the growers as they faced real significant market changes here in the region. And as NORPAC has transitioned to new ownership, Nick and Sedcor have been working closely with them on various improvements, particularly at their facility in Brooks. Iverson Family Farms and FS Oil, we've seen really great continued growth from them. Both helped us out with being part of our ag breakfast this year to try to educate people on the opportunities and challenges of the hemp industry. But very exciting to see their growth here in Marion County as well. And just recently, they were able to secure Global Good Agriculture Practice, Global GAP certification, which is the first hemp producer in the country to receive that. And Ferris Lumber here in Marion County, they're continuing to innovate, really becoming more of a tech industry than a wood products industry in many respects. And Nick's been working very closely with them as they continue their mass plywood products facility growth and investment. And also Watershed, another local company, made pretty much rain gear in the past, and we've watched them become a real leader in the PPE manufacturing industry, not just here locally, but also in the state and around the country. In Yamhill County, Avishai Stone's our economic development manager for Yamhill. And as I mentioned before, she had done great work with putting together her, or the loan program, or the grant program rather, for COVID relief back earlier this year, which, man, does feel like years ago, but back in March, which got $2.1 million in business support out to the region, to Yamhill County. She did some great work with DCI, a company that was really looking for how to attract and retain workers, and what resources one of the resources they felt they needed was childcare. And working with DCI, Avishai was able to work with the city of Newburgh and Yamhill County to get funding to put this project together for a childcare facility. And as a result of that work, she's got several other projects in that daycare industry lined up, all really helping to support workforce development. Online Northwest, Kathy Tate's one of our board members. We were pleased to be able to help her out with the Yamhill County Rural Broadband Expansion Project with some funding from Yamhill County to fund it. We've been working with the folks in Newburgh and the Commercial Development Company, who are the new owners of the former West Rock Mill site. And we're going to have an exciting few years as they clean up and redevelop that site and into economic development opportunities and community development opportunities for Newburgh and the region. And also, one of the things that came up was businesses trying to find workers. I know we hear a lot about the challenges with COVID and difficulty with people finding employment, but we do have a lot of employers that were looking for workers. And Avishai took the lead in contacting some of the farm labor folks to see if there was some opportunities to get some people to come in off season for agriculture, but to help make some manufacturers make some products through the wintertime until the next ag season comes up. Next page, please. And finally, with Polk County, as I mentioned, Alex has taken the lead in doing the Northwest Ag Innovation Hub. And really what was exciting is this is really starting to kick off now, but one of the first side benefits of this is we were able to make a connection between a Polk County seed grower, grass seed grower, and two Midwest autonomous drone seed spreading companies. They were doing some demos of cover crop spreading in Iowa, and through our connections with the Ag Innovation Hub, Alex was able to facilitate that transaction. This past spring, our first Ag Innovation Challenge design sprint was held. Over 70 people participated. Interestingly, having to pivot to an online presence allowed us to actually attract people from around the country into this program. And we're getting ready to do the second round coming up in February. We've been working very closely with the City of Dallas on their Economic Opportunity Analysis Work Group, as well as on their Economic Development Commission. And CEDCOR was able to sign a contract this year with the City of Dallas for economic development services coming into the new year. And finally, our partner is Indie Commons in Independence. They expanded their space, adding a community kitchen, which not only going to give some rentable space to entrepreneurs and startups, but this also really ties in nicely to the ecosystem that we're trying to support with the Northwest Ag Innovation Hub. And on the horizon for next year, just mentioned the Northwest Ag Innovation Hub, but you're going to see a lot of activity with that for CEDCOR around the region. And in February, our design sprint with the Technology Association of Oregon. So keep an eye out for that. I mentioned the HIOP program, but we'll be working towards the implementation of the Enterprise Resource Planning Project with our partners out of Yamhill County, McMinnville, and with OMEP. And we're launching in early February the Mid-Valley Business and Industry Resource Alliance. We're partnering with Chemeketa Community College, Small Business Development Center, Willamette Workforce Partnership, and OMEP to really do a much more forthright job of promoting our resources as a one-stop shop. Most of us are actually theoretically here in the same building. And we're bringing in OMEP, and I think we may even end up with other partners that are looking to kind of have a united front of resources for businesses in the area. Sure, there's going to be much continued engagement with the wildfire efforts in the Santiam Canyon and wildfire recovery. And we also kind of on a staff side here, we'll be looking to work with the board on our strategic plan update for 2021, a long-term strategic plan. And as a lot of people have been asking, the return of the CEDCOR golf tournament, hopefully. You know, we've got our masks, and hopefully we'll start to see some opportunities to get out and can reconnect with our membership and the communities at that fun event. So I think that's all I have got for our year in review and what's up ahead.